Guys, welcome back to another episode of Child of God. We've decided to call it Child of God. That's the final name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I kind of like it. I mean, I'm a child of God. You're a child of God. We're all children of God. So that's what we're going with. Anyway, today I want to make it quick and brief. I'm doing this morning prayers with Pastor M. Pastor M is Pastor Mildred Kingsley Okonkwo. If you don't know her, I suggest you just search her up on YouTube. You'll see everything. You'll see the prayers that she's doing. I don't know for how many days, but every day she's releasing new ones and they're good. That woman can pray. Bro, she's a woman who made Bible exciting for me. She's the one who sort of ignited the fire to read the Bible and pray with the word. So, like I said, she likes to pray with the word. Today we're praying with Leviticus 26 verses 3 all the way to verse 13. Basically, even the title here says, mine is NIV. It says, reward for obedience. And basically, it's just God's promises over your life. It says you will never lack. It will send you rain in season, and the ground will yield crops, and the trees their fruits. See, the next verse is that he will grant you peace in the land, and then when you lie down, nobody will make you afraid. He will remove the wild beast from the land, and the sword will not pass through your country. Basically, it's protection. He says that 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000. And your enemies will fall before your sword. It goes on to say that the I here is God. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. This is my favorite verse. Verse 10, you will be eating last year's harvest when you will have to move it out to make room for the new. Yani, your blessings will start overlapping one another. I will put my dwelling place among you, and I will not abhor you. God will, people say, oh, it's like, like God will literally make a dwelling place among you. He will walk with you. And then verse 13 says that I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Why? So that you could no longer be slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with heads held high. Yani, restoration. The dignity, the time, the money, the energy that was stolen from you through slavery in Egypt, I will restore it. Here, your Egypt could be anywhere that God has brought you from. Egypt is your dark place, and then there's the desert, and then there's a promised land. So Egypt is where God has brought you from. The desert is a journey, and then the promised land, I guess God keeps revealing the promised land. So these are really, really wonderful perks of walking with the Lord. And as I was reading them, I was like, this is nice. There's prosperity, there's protection, there's restoration, there's dignity. You will no longer be any shackles that were holding you, God will break them. However, at the beginning of this verse 3, there's a clause. The clause is a command. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, then he proceeds to tell you everything he will do for you. And God is faithful. He's not a man that he should lie. So he's not going to say here that you'll never lack, and then you obey him and then you lack. That means you didn't obey him. Let's be honest. Those things that we always like, but I did everything God said. Why didn't this happen? Why did he let this happen? So, okay, some of those things, it's those ones of God can't be explained. It's surrender, and it's acknowledging his sovereignty. The fact that God didn't do something, or you think, or we think, myself included, that God has not answered a prayer, God didn't do something, it's not an indictment on his sovereignty. He's still God, whether he does it or not. It's not a question of, will he do it? It's when he does it. Because he does all good and perfect things come from God. That's what the Bible says. And in due time, in his timing, he reveals it all. So back to what I was saying here. If you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my command, what caught me was that God, the fact that they use the word careful to obey my commands. It's because I think what the revelation I got was, it might seem so easy, like, oh, just do this, don't lie, don't gossip, don't slander, don't kill, don't what's the other one, don't fornicate, do not commit adultery, don't covet your neighbor's property. You know them, and it's very easy to say. And in our education system, we used to cram those things, the 10 commandments. But there's obviously so much more than 10 commandments. It was during the time of the law. After Jesus, it was now grace and renewing of the heart, renewing of the mind. By the mere fact that he said, and be careful to obey my command. When you're careful, you're very intentional. You're very diligent. You're cautious with everything you do. You don't just, if I tell you, oh, be careful, the floor is wet, you're not going to come running or sliding past the floor. Like, do you want to break a leg or something? Most times I feel like we do that as Christians, myself included. I'm speaking to myself. When I was reading this verse in the morning, I was like, wow, you didn't have to snatch my edge like that. Wow. Okay. Sometimes the word just smacks me straight in the forehead, because I read all these things. I'm like, oh wow, it's rewarding to be on God's side. You know that song, whose side are you leaning on? Leaning on the Lord's side. It's so rewarding to be leaning on the Lord's side. But there's a clause. You have to obey, and you have to obey his decrees and be careful to follow his commands. Pale kwa careful is what I want us to focus on. This thing, obeying his word, his commands, it has to be intentional. In fact, throughout in my Bible study, we're doing Galatians, and it's basically, we're in these chapters where Paul and the Church of Galatians are discussing the law versus Jesus, the flesh. What is it called? Whether it is by works or by faith. Like, do I have to do this to get there, or is it by faith? And the whole book, just when you read Galatians, you can tell the theme around it is works versus faith. And it's been a recurring theme in church, in my e-group, in the Bible study I attend. This, even baptism, I'm taking baptism classes. We've covered this as well, and it's been a recurring theme. I don't know if God is telling me something, or I'm the one who's picking it up, because that's what I'm focusing on right now. You know, when you want to buy a red car, you see red cars everywhere. Yeah, I think maybe that's what I'm seeing. But this thing of the dying of the flesh, or dying to self, killing your flesh, that you may be risen again with Christ, that's what I'm realizing. It's a lot. It's very difficult to do. But I had somebody say a podcast, she's called Megan Ashley, In Totality. Yes, the podcast is called In Totality. And she said the faster you die, the faster you can live. The faster you die to yourself, the faster God can start working with you. It's like, okay, now you're ready. But this one for, you're dying kidogo here, you're cutting the arm, another arm is painful, you want to wrap it up, you want to go and soothe yourself. Oh, what? I'm talking to myself. It's exactly how I've been dying. Oh, why do I have to do this? It's painful. Tomorrow, maybe then you feel guilty for not obeying God, and then you cut off another. Please, guys, it's proverbial. There's a verse that says, if it's your eye that's going to stop you from getting to heaven, gouge it out. Brothers and sisters, it's proverbial. Okay, it's dying to self. This could be maybe. It's bad habits, it's the music you're listening to, the movies you're watching, the company you're keeping. It could be, what else? I'm trying to think. What else could be that thing that Do you know it could be ministry? I just found this out maybe late last year. It could be ministry. You could be serving God out of not guilt, but out of ile mambo ya works. You're trying to twist God to bless you because, but see, I'm serving. See, I'm always in church. See, I've attended. See, I'm a good Christian. You're trying to get to heaven by your works. My sister, you'll get to heaven and God will be like, and who is you? So, this walk with Christ cannot be fabricated. It cannot be created. It cannot be illusioned. It cannot be faked. You either have to have a renewing of the mind and transformation in your heart, or you don't. That's what I'm assuming. That's why I don't know if it's Jesus or if it's God was quoting that a lukewarm person will spit you out. Afadhali ukwe wewe ni usemange mimi sijaokoka. But lukewarm is like, I cannot stand it. Because not you trying to fake your way into my heart. Are you well? I am the only one who can see your heart, and then you're trying to fake your way. Are you seeing how disrespectful it is? Maybe that's what it says. If you're lukewarm, imagine I spit you out, because you're not used to me. You're not cold, you're not hot. What are you? Garbage. That's what you are. They don't say garbage, so that's what I got. From this, I was like, okay, there's so many blessings, there's so many promises that you can stand on. People are talking of standing on business. Me, I want to stand on God's promises this year. And the only way I can do that is if I follow his decrees and I'm careful to obey his command. May God help us all follow his decrees and obey his commands. Thank you guys so much for listening to Child of God. And until next time, read your Bible, pray every day.